This chart explains all the worlds of the work, being like a code to decipher the primordial origin of the universe. All is contained in these three aspects: abstract, primordial light, and primordial tree. This graphic is described on chapter 4 of the book. It tries to explain the first fracture on the harmony that existed on the universe. This fracture that breaks the triangle was caused by the firstborns who become 4 out of 3 by dividing the duals. This fractured the triangle on two sides, side 2 and 3. This explains that 2 divided become 4, not touching the other side of the triangle, side 1, God the unchangeable. This figure is mentioned as a division of 4 fractures into 2 wholes. This is obtained by 3 by the same number, which is taken as 2 was the multiplier in the fracture. This means that 3 is included once in 4, leaving the balance of 1, creating this way the double triangle. This graphic is the real multiplication of 3. The new creation is no division and no multiplication. It is a calm, lawful, undisturbed addition. I added circles to the chart that are mentioned by Adelma, the first circle in the first real triangle. The consequences of this new creation are commutations. This chart explains the animated universe of the life principle, originating the completion of the triangle that was originally undrawn on the last graphic. This graphic illustrates the addition of everything in creation, that is developed step by step without any jump. The consequence of this operation is a transition. It explains the power of expansion. This graphic shows a comet as worlds moving from the embryonic state into childhood, in a march toward gradual transition and change. It describes also the creation of cellular life and plant life. It is a new stage in universe development as the mention of cellular and plant lives. The comets described on chart 7 have their development compared to the development of power and fluids, fluidical secretion. On this graphic is explained the circular movements and the commutation of plants. On this chart there are finished figures, since the worlds had now left their childhood and were in their fullest development. This development of the world is continuing calm. It is a series of geometrical figures that shows simple rotation and the formation of bark, the melting of crystals and carbonization. This graphic is used by Adelma to illustrate 2 chapters of the book. This graphic shows the double nature of the fall of the new creation and explains the second fracture. Several processes are described on this graphic. It becomes one of the most complexes until now. Here are designed the falling of contrast spirits, worlds, and rotation and its obvious consequences. This describes the double reconciliation after the double fraction. Here is formed sensuality and sensual organs. Adelma describes the existence of a splendid spiritual life in a stage of underworlds and higher worlds. This graphic describes the development of the various worlds and of the life principle, relating it with the embryonic spirits, paradises, and underworlds. Adelma used also this chart to illustrate the chapter of the book dedicated to embryonic spirits. Here we have a third fracture, that is in its size twice that of the first fracture. This indicates the second individual fracture of the spirits. The key words for this chart are the fall of the spirits and the separation of the duals, introducing the separation of light and the expulsion of Adam and Eve from paradise as an allegoric passage. The quantity of figures on this chart have a threefold reconciling movement. The difference here is caused by the third fraction in the large and multiplying forms: disobedient, sensual, and arrogant spirits, power and matter in all systems of suns, and the formation of all the millions of worlds. Adelma uses this chart for the illustration of another chapter of the book, dedicated to the creation of the third, fourth, and fifth solar systems. This graphic shows completed figures and gives the information that we have reached the conclusion of totality. We have three stars placed in each other, describing the multiplying and subtracting movement, the depotence and the potence, and the two-fold course of the universe. All the figures, says Adelma, shows the creation from the center and unification towards it.